Hey there, fellow creators. Ben here from... Wait, where are you? There you are. Sorry. In the middle of this project and several others. Forgot where I put my camera. Wasn't that just the dumbest intro you have ever seen me do? Sorry, it made me laugh. I thought it'd be fun to do that. So it is now Friday, October 1st. I did a little bit of painting earlier this week and recorded a little bit, but not enough to use for the whole video for a regular Saturday upload yet. So I'm hoping to get a little bit more done currently Friday. I don't have enough time to really dive into any painting today, but I did record a little bit more process here. As you can see, the bottom of this is a lot warmer, and a lot of the middle of it's warmer too. I glazed in a lot of different colors there, specifically some like oranges and violets. Last weekend, I went to my parents' house to start rehabbing this old steel locker that's going to go into my kitchen as an additional pantry space. So one of tomorrow's projects is actually going to be going down to Blick's to do sort of a half trip. I have actually a whole bunch of stuff that I want to get sometime in the next 2 months. But currently, with the way my budget is, I don't have enough to get all of that in one big batch. So I'm going to actually have a look at my list, write a couple of things down, and see what I can get ahead of time prior to actually doing the big online order that I wanted to do originally. So I recently moved my oil paint off of the corner of my table and into this box out of the way for two reasons. One, because I wasn't utilizing this box at all, which was where my friend, my late friend, kept his oil paints, oddly enough. So now I'm using it for the same thing he did. But also because the one thing with oil paints is the tubes leak after a while. The oil just seeps out of the top, and all of that oil is making a mess on my table. So I'm like, let me go ahead and not make a mess on my table. So after I did that and moved everything over here, I realized that I have all this extra space to put more colors in. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, that spice would be perfect for my pigment sticks, my oil paint sticks, which have kind of just been in a drawer in the corner. You know what? I'm doing that right now. So yeah, so my oil sticks have been over here forever. I've got too much stuff floating around here. I've got two that don't even fit in the drawer anymore, which is why I think this is a good idea, is to move them over there, since I got these two extras and they're not here, and the drawer barely closes as it is. So I'm going to get all of these and move them over to that box where the other oil paint is, because that would make the most sense. Like that. I just have to organize my colors a little bit. Back. Darker colors. That way, this way. Nice. Still have some extra space. And you know what? The other thing I have is that I don't necessarily need more regular oil colors for, is I have some water mixable oils that are also over there. So I'm going to go get those for that corner. This is perfect. These finally have a real home. That little blue thing was always a temporary home for these. So, go that way and this way. All right. We've actually filled this. I wasn't even anticipating doing this. Well, heck, in that case, I may not even buy the extra oil paint this year, since I barely use the oils I have as it is. Yeah, there were two more tubes I was looking at. I think I can afford to get the two other ones that I was going to get. But can probably hold them off a little bit more now, actually. At least until this little set's gone, because this takes up a lot of space. But that and semantics and everything else. But that's actually really awesome. So these two are custom-made tubes out of pastels. These two may or may not even still be good. I don't really know. But yeah. Now I suppose the real question is, what do I put in here? Gee, is there still stuff in that top section? I think there might be. Wait a minute. Gotta have a look first. Nope, nothing in there anymore either. Yeah, I didn't think so, but did have to check. Now, I do have all this stuff that's kind of floating around on top. Erasers and other such things. So maybe that would be a good place for these things. the miscellaneous things that just kind of sit up here that I don't really have a spot for. That looks pretty good. Yay! Sometimes just cleaning up the studio. I looked over here. I thought the camera was over here. So used to it being over there. Sometimes just having an extra little space open up for things can really make a difference in what you're doing in the studio. So I have a second drawer where I can put some other things. I'm thinking about putting my paint markers there in that. Since, wow, I should clean that up. Yeah. Because all my paint markers, which actually I'm starting to accumulate more of these, they may not even fit in here. I feel like I should try. Oh yeah, plenty of space. Nice. Woo! That makes me really happy actually, because that frees up this whole other corner and that corner where I can put my brushes back where they were. Oh right, I was doing shopping. I should probably get back to that. So, yeah, we're gonna see if, yeah, that oil paint. Yeah, those are spring items. There's gonna, yeah, definitely gonna be a lot of stuff, a lot of paint stuff for the spring. Probably not winter. I think I can hold out a little longer for some of that. But yeah, gonna be a lot of mediums and paint tubes and stuff that I'll be restocking probably around March. Okay, so I'm gonna do something else here because I'm getting a little too distracted in here, and I should probably actually paint something tonight. So it's now just after 9 a.m. Saturday. Ended up not really doing much yesterday in the way of painting. I did record this little 60-second tutorial for my Instagram, which was pretty neat. I think I might do more of those. That was really fun, and I think it would be a good way to expand sort of my video stuff into Instagram a little bit, but still keeping it short and relatively, because Instagram stuff tends to be shorter anyway. Sort of similar to what maybe people are doing on TikTok, but I'm not going to get a TikTok account. So the Blick opens at 10 a.m. So I've got a little under an hour before at least they open their doors. And I'm thinking I probably want to go down early rather than later. Excuse me. Strictly because I know if I split the day the other way, I think I probably will get less done in the studio. So if I can go down and back and have my new stuff and then that and just really kind of have more time to work then, rather than being like, at this time, what time do I go down? No. So, I'm probably just going to clean the studio up a little bit. I've got some dried pallets on the floor over there, and here. So it's probably going to be a good idea for me to clean some of this stuff up, especially after yesterday when I moved some stuff around. So, yeah. Okay, well, now that I've kicked up some dust and my nose is running, brilliant. I don't want to say I found, because this has been sitting in the corner for like 3 years now. But this is a remake of a painting that I started probably 3 years ago. I started with the original piece was Tree of Knowledge, Tree of Chaos, and it's a piece that works both vertically this way and vertically this way, and eventually when I wire it, the wire will be in the middle, so you can turn it whatever way you want. I did the same thing on canvas a while back, but I wanted to make a sort of a newer one with a lot more branches and things like that. I got this far into it and realized, oh, I want to do this with paint marker the rest of the way. But at the time, my black paint marker nib was terrible. So I wanted to get a new nib, so I set it in the corner. I just remembered I got a new nib like a year ago. Still have not touched the piece. So I'm setting this out and aside this way, because I actually do want to work on that today. Probably in between stuff for the big piece. The other thing is, I was thinking about, like, well, this is nice. I can actually see the bottom of my mural now. I pretty much haven't been able to do that in a really long time. I'm like, oh yeah, there's a signature, and I did that 4 years ago. Well, yeah, like exactly 4 years ago, come to think of it. That's pretty crazy. But I have my my big glass slab here that I use for making paint. But it's never really had a home. I bought it 2 years ago. I set it in the corner because it's out of the way. And I've kind of been pacing around the studio looking for a place that's both out of the way but also safe, knowing that I won't kill it somewhere. And that spot might work. So the front of this shelf is like gesso and mineral spirits and stuff. But the back, I kind of just throw all kind of random junk back there. Actually, it's a lot of my, a lot of the demos that I do for videos go back here. So this is, you know, the Reflections one I did a couple months ago. There's a print that got screwed up. These are the symbol pieces from the Kingdom of the Wind book. Here's the craft paint versus professional acrylics one. Yeah, so this little space back in the corner here. Actually, probably going to make a good spot for this mixing plate. This is out of the way, and hello, glue gun. But it's still accessible. That's sort of the need here. It needed to be out of the way, but accessible. There's a lot of things that are accessible and out of the way, but also knowing that I might drop something on it and shatter it. And this kind of makes sense too with where and what the stuff is, in being that pre-painting stuff, gesso, and all that mess. Okay, so walking up to the art store now. A little further down than where I wanted to be, but pretty par for the course with exactly where I end up normally. So it's like a block, like 3 blocks down and 2 blocks the other way. So not terrible. Also, I haven't come down here since I got my new car back in July. And holy crap, is the backup camera nice. I never knew how much I really needed one of those, but holy crap, is that great for parking in the city. Okay, so I made it out of Blix. I'm heading back now. The one thing they didn't have, which I thought was weird, I think that was probably the same as last time. It kind of screwed me up, is they don't have my fine pumice gel there. Which is weird. They have the coarse stuff, which I feel like is less common. At least less commonly used. But, yeah. So, walking back. I'll show you what I got when I got back. Picked up a couple other different things and went a little higher in prices than I wanted to, but that's okay. Par for the course. I did behave mostly. So, yeah. Okay, so back in the studio in my painting clothes as it was. As I mentioned before, as I was walking, did not actually have everything in the store that I wanted to get today, but that's okay, so I supplemented out, got a couple other things. Things that weren't on my actual list, which is I think in my other pants now. I think there were 5 things on my list, and I got like a dozen, so I have to rework the stuff, my online list, so to not include some of this stuff, and yeah, whatever. So, bigger portfolio book. This is going to accompany me when I do shows now, rather than taking the funny box that I have that I lug around. I'm just going to take this and put all the prints and stuff in it. Should make my load a lot lighter when I'm doing shows. The 2 cans of Montana Black, which is the one thing I actually really needed. I also got another one of the ones, and it's a red. This is called Code Red. So this actually rounds out. I have a red, a blue, and a yellow now, so I've got the 3 primaries. And since the cabinets were open, I thought, what the hell, I'll get another one. So I looked at secondary colors. This is called Slimer. Sort of a nice yellow-green color. Somewhat similar to the, what is this one? Vivid Lime Green that I've got in the Liquitex, but a little bit more yellow. This is one of those on-sale things that I thought was interesting, so I picked it up. This is some I-264 Fabrino watercolor paper. Never tried this stuff before. I don't mean watercolor paper in general. I mean this brand. Felt it in the store. It's got a really nice kind of weave to it. It's just standard cold press stuff, but 140 is, it's kind of the same as my Canson XL, but the texture is a lot rougher on this. So should be interesting to try. I'm probably gonna end up making a video about this stuff. Of course, now I don't actually have room in my drawer for another pad of paper. So one thing that wasn't originally on the list, but is something I've slowly been using through, and that's my core watercolor medium. I have some. It's probably got maybe, what is it? It's about half gone, a little under half. The reason why I picked it up is because I've been using this stuff when I make my watercolors and make paint. I mean, this is what I'm using for it, and considering I'm gonna plan on making a lot more of those this year, or this year into probably next year, I wanted to pick some more of that up. And last but not least, definitely not least, is the little bit of paint I got, and a brush, because of course I did. I can't seem to go to the art store without buying a brush. And then the 2 tubes of paint. So chromium oxide dark. I actually used a regular chromium oxide for a while, but this stuff caught my attention a while ago. And it feels like just a lot cleaner of a tone to it. I'll have to do a color map to really know for sure, but this is kind of my new rotational green. It's a PG-17. And then a Gamblin, this is a Gamblin red, it's a Perline red, PR-147. So this goes in the other box now. Actually kind of want to see what this color looks like open now. Ooh, it's darker. Way darker. Normally I put some on the cap, but this cap is black, because of course it is, as a tester. Ooh, wow, yeah, that's a much different red than the one I've got. Yeah, so like, this is what drives me nuts about some oil companies, is they just put this little printed label, but it doesn't really show the color, so I'd like to put it on the tube somewhere. So that, by comparison to this guy, the Fancron red, I guess.
I've heard it both ways.
This is a lot more cleaner and purer of a red. I think this is technically 112, so I think that's technically like naphtha red. So this is a lot oranger. This is going to be a lot bluer. So now I have my my 2 reds for a more balanced color palette, and I'm able to do a little bit more mixing that way on either side of the color wheel spectrum. Okay, so I can, now that's almost noon, I can actually start painting for the day. So I really want to start working in some I think greener tones, seaweedy type shapes and things, a lot of wavy things. Pulled up my Atlantis reference over there. That's a lot of sort of mushroom jellyfish kind of shapes, and I may or may not use those or variations on those or something like that. But I think the seaweedy wavy shapes are a good way to start. So I think I'm going to end up doing the city basically in essentially 3 layers. The way this is kind of progressing, I like the idea of doing 3 different colors and 3 different sort of style elements in terms of shapes. So green flowy seaweed, maybe a light blue next that's more structural, so blocky even, and then or maybe rounded blocky because you'd be underwater, the edges would wear out, obviously, and then the overlying more violet shapes I can lean on some of those like jellyfish elements. So I dropped in these couple of these lighter lines. I'm like, well, this looks like crap. So I'm like, well, maybe maybe all the structures have lights in them besides just that, and so I dotted a few basically window lights in, which seem to fix things. And I also like the idea of maybe the power is coming from the bed of the sea itself. So I'm pushing that color down and making root lines as well to incorporate that extra bit of sense, I guess you could say. I mean, fantasy type stuff, but it's important for things to kind of have some level of sense to them. Probably should have started on the left and worked to the right so I wasn't dipping my hand in the wet paint, but bad decisions. Do what I say, not what I do. Also, it's like they don't have to connect. They could be just floating there. It's an underwater magical kingdom. It doesn't. Nothing has to be perfectly sensible, but it should be close. Picked up this Princeton Select angle a couple of weeks back, maybe 2 months ago or something. I think this is going to be perfect for what I want to do here. Okay, so this feels pretty good. I just now realized that some of my larger towers are similar to the seaweed elements. But I am going to use the violet to put in some more round elements somewhere in there. I don't exactly know where exactly yet, but yeah, it's looking decent. Still gonna need a little bit of extra finessing though, probably at the very end. Actually, come to think of it, even better than the jellyfish shape, since it's purple, let's make it coral. That way I can put little just jagged castle-y things coming out of it. I like that. That's perfect. Okay, that was a really good idea. Man, this is really fun now. So, actually, since that's more violet, and the way this color is layering, I actually can probably do almost another upper layer with the coral, with more red or pink, which would be pretty awesome. That would give me a fourth layer in here. I want to glaze some of this purple into here. Kind of been doing that with every layer to indicate that light or that reflection in that section. When I'm all done with all of this though, what I'm actually going to do is come across the glaze of that smalt hue that I use for shadows and just give the whole thing just like a light coating of that to really kind of give that distortion of the water. Maybe use it a little thicker in some areas so it really does feel like it's, that ripple. Also, as I was working on this, I thought, Atlantean Legacy was the title I did have. I like the idea of changing this to something like Ghosts of Atlantis, since it's now October, and I feel like this is going to invoke a little bit of a spooky feeling to it when I'm all done anyhow. Okay, so I think I just want to hold off on touching this for the rest of the day, because I was getting to the point now where I'm starting to be lazy with my lines. And usually at that point, I'm like, let's not mess this up. Let's wait for a better mindset and work on it later. So, I do still have a little time I want to put in down here. And since I just picked up that tube of paint, I figured, what the hell, let's make a color map. So I still want to paint, I just don't want to work on that. All right, so here we got my new color map. I think it looks pretty good. A little close up at some of those colors for you. By the time I hit the cerulean chromium, I was like, okay, I'm gonna need like to actually do mass tone and glaze. Normally I can just kind of do that with the drop, but I wasn't really applying it that way. And I really like the glaze of the cerulean mix. Can guarantee you I'll be using that in the future for projects. And I really like that this color kind of really mutes out all of the other ones I have. So for more realistic stuff, I think this is going to be a really good color for me for a really long time. Other fun thing, I'll put this on this. So the color in the palette ends up making for a really interesting palette that way. Seeing all the colors and everything, and come to think of it, this would be really fun to have a picture of for Instagram. So I'm going to try and get one. Go ahead and just put this back on my table now. Oops. This is going to need some time to dry somewhere, maybe over here. And that'll go up on my wall somewhere, eventually. Oh, I don't have the Terravert anymore. Cool, it's going to go right there then. Let's not put this in a pile in the corner like we did earlier. That was where I'd put the mixing plate from this morning. Although this is probably going to go back there until the next time I have a show. So I think that's where a studio vlog for today is going to end. Got a bunch done. Do have some other stuff to do, and honestly, it is a gorgeous day outside. That is honestly going to be a shame if I don't go out and enjoy it. So I'm going to do that. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks guys for watching. Keep on creating, and I will see you guys next time.